Now there's no two ways about it, golf, relatively speaking, is an expensive pastime compared to other sports, and therefore golfers, when looking to upgrade their equipment, often have to make choices as to where they spend their money and where they save their money. And hopefully by the end of this video you'll have a better understanding as to the types of things you need to think about when deciding where to spend your money. Now Dan, what are the sorts of topics we're going to cover in this video to help golfers understand where to spend and where to save?
So we're going to cover pretty much every part of the bag to start. But I think it's worth mentioning beforehand that a great way to save is going second hand. Now there are some pretty big pitfalls here we must mention. Obviously you might be buying clubs that are fitted for somebody else, they'll be a bit older, and if it's from somewhere like eBay you might not be able to trust where they're coming from. So you could buy a whole bag second hand, but we're going to focus on where you can save your money on new equipment mostly.
Absolutely, and there's some other things you really need to think about. The first I would say is your ability, and your ability will influence the type of equipment that you want to spend your money on. So for example, if you're a low handicapper, you might want to invest on a really well fitted set of wedges or a nice soft feeling set of irons that give you that shot making capability. Whereas if you're a high handicapper, you might want to spend your money on a more forgiving driver, for example. So there's definitely different priorities depending on your ability of golfer. And the other argument you could make is that you want to invest your money in the areas of the bag of which you are the weakest. So if you're really struggling with your short game, you probably want to spend some more money on wedges or your balls, versus your long game, maybe you want to spend some more money on your driver. So that's one argument I would make. Dan, is there anything else golfers need to think about?
Well, think about your budget, obviously. You know, if you've got £1,000, you'll be debating whether you want to buy a nice set of irons or a nice new trolley. I'd probably say invest in the irons rather than the trolley. Let's say your budget's £400, you might be looking between a wedge, a set of wedges or a driver. I'd probably say getting the wedges. So working out your budget and what part of the bag you want to look at will help you sort of work out where you're going to spend it the best.
Yeah, some really good ideas there, and hopefully those points have kind of rung off some alarm bells in your mind about where you probably should be thinking about spending and saving your money. But let's dive a bit deeper into some of those areas. We're going to start where we both agree on areas where golfers can save their money. So I think one area of the bag that we both agree that golfers can probably save a little bit of money versus spending it would be golf balls. Now don't get me wrong, I love my Titleist Pro X golf ball. It's one of the top end golf balls in terms of price. I love the consistency of it, and a lot of golfers out there also do, and they repeat purchase because of that. But there are some excellent alternatives that come in slightly under that don't really sacrifice a great deal. So you can get some very good golf balls around that £30 to £40 price tag that just over time will save you quite a lot of money. So you know, the Titleist Tour Speed is essentially a Pro V1 but £10 cheaper, might not spin quite as much around the greens, but it's a slightly less expensive urethane covered golf ball. You've got the TaylorMade Tour Response, which is excellent. The Strixon Q Star Tour, also an excellent golf ball. So you can make small savings in that area of the bag that over time will accumulate into quite a big saving over, say, time period of a year. So would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. I think this is one we're pretty sure on, aren't we? I think coming back to our point earlier about your ability, you might not be able to spin the golf ball on the green, so why not spend £20 a dozen on a Callaway Super Soft or a Strixon 80 333 or a great golf ball that have been for years, and £20 a dozen instead of £50 a dozen, that's quite a significant saving. I think another point with golf balls, playing in the winter, I don't like playing with my best golf balls in the winter, so using a cheaper ball in the winter months is good, and treat yourself to a dozen good balls over the summer months. And
also your golf course, if there's a lot of water on your golf course, a lot of thick rough, a lot of out of bounds, if you're playing with a premium golf ball that costs about £5 each, it's an expensive pastime if you're hitting it in the lakes a lot. So just to, you know, think about that sort of thing as well. These are all the kind of factors you want to kind of consider when choosing a golf ball, but we both agree that it's definitely an area where golfers can probably save a bit of money.
So one area of the bag me and Joel both agree you should spend is the driver. Now, retail prices of drivers do keep going up a little bit, about £450 to £500 now for a top of the range one, but we think this is probably worth an investment. The performance between a £200 driver and a £500 driver, we think is pretty significant. It's a club you use quite a lot. And if you do spend a little bit more, you can go get a custom fit, which is important. You'll have more options of shafts as well to get that driver working just right for you.
Absolutely, Dan. You know, we're seeing drivers, they do improve every year, there's no question. And while it's fairly marginal, the only way to ensure you're getting the very best performing driver is to invest in the latest model. Not saying you need to buy a new driver every year. We've seen from the testing we've done, normally every 2 to 3 years is kind of that sweet spot where you're going to see tangible performance gains. But when you are buying the latest driver, what you are also getting is the best components as well as the best forgiveness. You know, I've seen testing less expensive drivers, they tend to skimp a little bit on the shaft and things like that.
Yep.
Maybe put older models of shafts in, the grips aren't as good. So yeah, there's definitely an argument to be made for buying a premium driver. You're getting the best of the best from the head all the way up to the grip, and drivers is one area where we think you definitely need to spend. Right, so now we're moving into a couple of categories that myself and Dan actually disagree on where you should spend or save. So listen to both sides of the argument and make your own mind up. The first one is putters, where I think golfers can actually save a bit of money on their putter. In my opinion, the technology incorporated into a putter has less of an impact than any other area of the bag. And I think actually pretty much any putter of any price point will do a pretty good job of propelling the ball along the ground towards the hole. And actually, they're more liable to user error than any other club, and technology I think has a very limited effect on that. So that's kind of my argument that I would make for putters. I'm sure Dan, you're going to counteract me with
I've been making a lot of faces while you're speaking there. I think you've simplified putting a bit there, but I agree, whatever puts the ball along the ground, but it's the club you use the most. Most club golfers who about 18, 19 handicap might putt 36 times around. So I think you should put your money into the club you use the most. And I think those kind of golfers also need the help from a putter that might cost a little bit more. A Scotty Cameron or a nice Odyssey or something that's a mallet shape will cost a bit more, but will give you more help on the greens. And I think putting is the place where golfers can actually bring their handicap down more. Let 2 less putts around, it's probably easier to do than 2 less iron shots around. That's where your handicap's going to come down. So that's where I put my money into. I see your point, but I think it's the most used club, spend the most money on it.
Well, I disagree, because I think technique will have more of an influence on your putting performance than the club itself. But you know, hopefully you've seen both sides of the coin there, and it's up to you whether you want to save some money in that area or spend it.
I'm right.
You're not.
I am. Right, back to a place where you should spend your money on your golf equipment. We're both in agreement that wedges are a vital part of the bag, and spending a good amount of money on them can save you quite a lot of shots. I'm going to contradict myself slightly here, Joel, and say maybe if you wanted to save, don't buy 4 wedges, you could buy 3 wedges instead, but keep them high quality. The more expensive they are, the more grind offerings you'll have, and the more ability you can get them to suit your game. Sort of same with the driver we spoke about. If you get it custom fitted, it will cost a bit more, but it will help your game a lot more.
Yeah, and I'd say actually with wedges, golfers often underestimate how much they practice with their wedges and how much, so therefore how many shots they're hitting. And over time, those wedges, the integrity of them, of the grooves, will deteriorate significantly. And there's 2 things that I would say what that causes. Obviously, it causes over time a gradual drop off in the amount of spin you create around the greens, which can limit your ability to get up and down, especially when you're short-sided. And the second thing is consistency. So if you're hitting different parts of the face where the grooves have deteriorated to different levels, you might see different results from a similar length of shot. So one shot might fly quite low and then spin up nicely by the pin, and if you hit a different part of the face, it might fly really high and ML the green because it hasn't got enough spin, or the grooves are different. So you're losing that consistency with an older wedge over time. So I would say wedges definitely want to think about upgrading at least every 2 years, maybe even sooner, to make sure you're getting the max amount of spin, the max amount of control, and the max amount of versatility as well. And as Dan said, you get what you pay for. With those top level wedges, you get a lot of versatility, a lot of options, which is key to building the perfect set for you. Right, so the next area of your golf equipment where we both agree you should definitely be able to save some money is with a laser rangefinder. As we know, they give you really quick distances to the flag, and I've tested all the latest models in 2021, and actually there's not that much difference between a £150 laser or a laser that costs £350, especially if you're looking for that very simple basic point and shoot functionality. They all are very accurate, they're all very fast, and there's not that much if you want those extra bells and whistles, of course you can pay a little bit more for 3D hole maps or slope functionality, or one that will stick on your buggy frame nice and easily. You pay a bit more for that, but if you just want basic functionality, you don't need to spend a lot of money on a laser. Is that fair, Dan?
Yeah, definitely. Most of them come with slope now as well, so you can work out how far it is down a hill or up a hill. Even the cheapest ones do that, and I think even down to the carry cases they come in, a Golf Buddy versus a Bushnell, they look pretty similar on the bag, so it doesn't even look like you've skimped too much, and like you said, you're just pointing and shooting.
And they tend to last quite a long time as well, regardless of how much you spend. From my testing, they're all pretty reliable these days, so that's definitely an area where you can save up to £100 or £200 by choosing a more basic laser versus a premium option.
Right, another area of your bag where you should be spending your money is on the irons. Now, these are the most populated clubs in your bag, so you're going to want to spend a good amount of money on them. You'll have them for 4 or 5 years, so it's a good investment to make if you go at the top end. And brands are getting really clever now, using lots of different materials like tungsten to make smaller heads benefit different kinds of golfers. So the technology has really come on. So if you were to invest in irons second hand now, I think you'd be lacking on some of the technology your peers might be using as well. So that's where you're going to really benefit from investing that money.
I agree, and you know, if you're only going to upgrade your irons every 5 or 6 years, say, you might as well spend a little bit more, you know, versus trying to skimp a few £100 when actually you're probably going to regret it further down the line. You probably wish you just went a little bit more for that top end option. And certainly from my testing, I would say testing older irons or less expensive irons, I found that the feel just isn't quite as good. They feel a little bit harsher, a little bit clickier. The ball striking experience isn't quite what you want. And let's face it, if you've got the money to spend, I'd rather see you invest it in irons to get the best experience that you can, because otherwise you're going to regret it. Right, so flipping back to an area of your golf kit where we think you could probably save a little bit of money is golf shoes. Now, I would challenge you, Dan, to be able to tell the difference between a pair of golf shoes that cost £140 to one that costs £100.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
You know, you can get some very good golf shoes for £100. I think actually the shoes that I like the look of best are quite expensive. The more expensive they are, the more they tend to look better.
Yeah.
But if you're not too worried about how golf shoes look, you can pick up some really good, less expensive shoes. And actually, if you're saving money on shoes, it doesn't mean you have to go for a lesser known brand. You know, all the big brands like FootJoy, Under Armour, Skechers, Adidas all do some good shoes that under, you know, that less expensive price point, £100, sometimes even less. So doesn't mean you have to go for a niche brand. There are some good options there, and I think you'll struggle to tell the difference between, certainly in terms of comfort and grip. I feel like there's not that much difference between a top of the range shoe and a less expensive shoe. Is that fair?
Yeah, definitely. I think if you take styling away from it and you're not too worried about how you look, I think you can get some really good shoes for really not that much money. I don't know about you, but no matter what price shoe I'm wearing, if I wear it enough, I'll wear it out within a year, 18 months anyway, no matter what that price bracket is. So if you're upgrading once every 18 months, 2 years, keep it kind of cheap, I think. Good show. Right, so this is the last area we're going to cover, and this is one we disagree on as well. It's trolleys. Now, I think this is an area where you could save a really good amount of money. I'm first going to argue that maybe get a push trolley instead of electric trolley. I think something like the MotorCaddy Cube actually provides very little resistance, and you only got to push it. If you play at a hilly course, maybe ignore that. But there are some really good electric trolleys that aren't as much as some of the leading brands like MotorCaddy and PowerCaddy. I'd like to point out MGI, the Australian brand that makes some great trolleys that are about £50 to £100 less than the MotorCaddy or PowerCaddy, which is a nice little saving. I would say though, maybe just go for a push trolley.
Yeah, I mean, you've negated your own argument by saying if it's a hilly course, you need an electric trolley.
Yes.
I am of the opinion that you should try and spend money on an electric trolley, because trolleys can do so much more now than simply transport your clubs around the course. And you actually get extra features that will save you money in other areas. So for example, the M5 GPS from MotorCaddy or the CT6 GPS from PowerCaddy have inbuilt GPS. So you don't need to buy an external GPS device separate to that. So you're already quids in. And then when you factor in how robust and durable the latest electric trolley models are, you're going to get a good 5 years use out of them. So it's a long-term investment in your game. Yes, they are expensive, but I think, obviously they're very fun to use as well. You factor all those things in, I think it's an area of the bag or an area of your equipment I would definitely spend rather than save.
I think you persuaded me over actually there in that little 90 seconds. What else can I say? Yeah, probably spend, but there are areas you can save.
So there you have it. That's our opinions on where we think golfers could or should spend and save their money. I'm sure you'll have different opinions to us, so make sure you reply to us in the comments, tell us where you'd rather spend your money and where you think you could save your money. We'd really love to hear from you. This is just our opinion, so you know, it's an open discussion. Let's keep it nice and clean. That's all from us, from Burnley Park Golf Club. I hope you enjoyed this video. Do click the like button if you did, and subscribe to the Golf Monthly YouTube channel if you haven't already, so you don't miss any of our equipment review videos. But that's all from us, from Burnley Park Golf Club. We'll see you next time.